Is this working? I definitely hope so. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, and welcome to another meeting of Mercury Toastmasters. Today's meeting is a little special, not only because it's a webinar, but also because it's majorly educational. Let me tell you about how I always struggled in making a choice when I was younger. When asked what I wanted to have for dinner, I would say anything. Or when asked about my favorite video game, I'd reply with, "It's too hard to choose one." The simple yet obvious reason for my struggle was that I never knew my choices thoroughly. Knowing this, we have chosen to familiarize our fellow members with the Pathways program and the options they have, so that they wouldn't have to go through the same struggle as me. Before we go ahead with the webinar, let me walk you through a few things. The rules are as usual. If you're on the mic, refrain from talking about politics, religion, or saying any cuss words, and that you will be muted just to avoid noise and to make it easier to focus with our presenter and our presenter for this evening is our brilliant MJ or Mary Jo. You can ask questions during the meetings in the chat, that's written as chat, or the questions box, which one of the organizers would read out loud and answer during our Q&A sessions, or you can wait for the Q&A session and ask her yourself after raising your hand. We will have two such sessions during this meeting, two Q&A sessions, and hopefully, we will have all your questions answered. Without further ado, I give control to our president, Suraya. And I can hear your applause all the way from here. Yeah, she deserves every bit of it though. Suraya, welcome. I'll leave it in your hands now.
Hi. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know that all of us are locked up inside our houses due to COVID-19, and everything we do was moved online, whether it's our work, our hobbies, or even our hangouts. But a lot of us are stressed, we're frustrated, we're tired of this. But I always ask myself this question during my stay at home. What will happen when all of this ends? And I promise you that it will for sure end. The answer is life will move on. And it will not wait for us to catch up with it. So if we decide to let this virus beat us, surrender to it, quarantine ourselves, and do nothing, then we will lose the race. That is why we need to adapt. Throughout history, those who survived and those who lived the longest were the ones who adapted. Because life is always changing. A few years back, we had no computers, we had no internet. So they had different solutions to today's problems. Today, everything we have is online, and whether it's our stores, our money, our friends, our families, even those influencers, those bloggers, those fashionistas, everything's online. And that is why we need to adapt and enjoy doing that. We need to see this as an opportunity to learn new skills. And yes, we can be creative and we can be fun doing that. So let us keep the motivation and the positive energy. And without further ado, let us start this webinar. I won't be leading this webinar. Our experienced Toastmasters, Mary Jo Shaheen, will be. So I will leave control to our Toastmaster of this evening, Mary Jo. Mary Jo, once you're ready, I give control to you. Virtual claps.
Mary Jo, we can't hear you. Mary Jo, try again.
ستيل جربي هلا.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
لا لا ما عم بسمعه.
Hello? Hello?
We can hear you.
I think, yeah, we can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you all hear me? I'm not sure what just happened. Okay. Some of the attendees just confirmed through the chat. Khaled, you're an organizer. I just want someone from the attendees to confirm that they are hearing me.
Yes, they are. They're saying that they are.
Okay. So, fellow Toastmasters and esteemed guests, finally, good evening. So, I cannot tell you how much I miss hearing you saying this back. Welcome to our first webinar, our first ever online experience organized by Mercury Toastmasters. I really hope that this webinar will help you get motivated and encouraged to continue your pathway in Toastmasters with your educational program. So before we start, I'm going to show you a short video created by Toastmasters International to promote pathways. So in a few seconds, you will see the video on your screen. You will need to press on the screen, play. It will be a white screen at first, and you will see the video. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video and you were able to see it. If anyone could not see it, I can send you the link afterwards. So now, without further ado, let us start our webinar. So let me tell you a brief history of pathways. It's 2017. The educational program for Toastmasters International, followed by all the members, is the Competent Communicator and the Competent Leader manuals, divided into these two tracks. This educational program had not been changed since the 1970s, 50 years of the same educational program. And you know that in 50 years, a lot of things change. the way we communicate change, the way we interact with each other. The technology that has developed in the past few years alone has changed our behavior so much. And Toastmasters realized that with these advancements, the educational program has to be revamped. It has to change. So this is where pathways came into the light. Pathways has 11 different paths instead of the 2 main tracks that you get into at first, giving you the flexibility to choose what you want to work on. So in this session, I will be dedicating myself to telling you more about what is pathways, how to start your journey in pathways, what's the difference between all the different paths, and how to get through BaseCamp, which is the portal that you'll be using to get through pathways in the website. So most of you has already seen this page, but some of you, like our fellow Mercurians, still don't have access to the website, sadly, but this will happen very soon, I am sure. So I'm just going to go a bit fast on how to launch your pathways journey through the website. You can see on the right, you have the launch navigator. This is entering this, you will be able to see a tutorial on how to use the website. So I'm not going to go in a lot of details about that. I'm just going to go quickly. In the middle, you have BaseCamp, which is the portal where you will see all your projects. And here we have, at the left, we have path selection. This is the important part to start your path. You can see also that it is next to choose your path, you can see $20. So the ones that are still not familiar a lot with pathways, you don't have to worry, you will not have to pay this after you join the club. This is included in your membership fees that you pay every 6 months. So the first time that you register, you pay an extra $20 and you get access to your pathway online. So once you click to pathway selection, this is for those that did not yet register in your path. I'm going through it quickly. You have the option to choose a digital or a printed material. So just a small comment that the printed material, when you're new, don't even consider it, because Pathway is an interactive online educational program. And choosing the printed material will just diminish very much from the quality of the program. So this is just to be chosen by anyone who does not have access to internet or is not too tech savvy and will not be able to follow it online. Also, now note that a printed material will cost you $25 additional, so I don't think it's even imaginable for anyone. So the important part of selecting your path, you have the choice between viewing all the path options or taking the assessment. You can choose to view all the path options, then go back and take the assessment. And as well, when you go and take the assessment, you can also go back and see all the path options. But you recommend every single one of you to take the assessment because it will help you greatly in choosing one of the paths. Because we have 11 paths, and once we join, we are not very sure what's the difference between them. So the assessment is around a few questions, around 10 questions, maximum 10 minutes, which will help you, 5 minutes, which will help you to get guided. It will give you the most recommended paths for you to take. It will be shown like this. You have 3 recommended pathways. You are able to choose any of them, but you can also go back and choose whatever else you want if you feel like this is not any of these are the right choice for you. Okay, so we started with pathways and we chose a path, but what's the difference between every single path? That's important to know even before starting with it. And most people start and are not really familiar with the difference between every single path. So I'm gonna guide you through a bit through the difference between every single one of them and their structures. So each path is characterized by a set of competencies. You can see we have public speaking, interpersonal communication, strategic leadership, management, and confidence. You can see here the 11 paths, and every single path is characterized by public speaking. You can see every single one has the first competency included. This is obvious because Toastmasters International, after all, is an NGO that is specialized with public speaking. And you can also see that every single one of them focuses on a lower level on confidence. That's because after you finish a path, which is around more than 14 projects, you would ensure that you have improved your confidence. But we can also see other competencies that each path focuses on. For example, we have innovative planning, which focuses, other than public speaking and confidence, you can see that also it focuses on strategic leadership and no, I mean, one second. Innovative planning focuses on management and as well on interpersonal communication. So these two competencies, innovative planning focuses on them more than strategic leadership. Innovative planning focuses on them more than strategic leadership. But we can see also that engaging humor and presentation mastery only focuses on two competencies. What does this mean? Does this mean that they are less important than the other paths? Should we choose another one because it focuses on something else? No, that's not it. That's just meaning that engaging humor and presentation mastery focuses way more on public speaking and confidence, while the others have also projects that include leadership and management. And they are specific. Most of their projects consist of presenting something in a good way, while the others have required projects that would require you to interact with other members or lead a project, which would not be required for engaging humor and presentation mastery. So also, does this mean that, for example, innovative planning does not work at all on the third competency, which is strategic leadership? That is also not true. Every single path, you can customize it to work on different competencies according to what you want, and this is done through the electives. So I'm going to go through them in the next slide into the structure of each and every single level and project of all the paths. But before that, I'm going to open the floor for a bit for questions because I have been talking for a while now. I'm going to open the floor for questions. If any of you have questions in the chat or in the questions, or you can also say them out loud, we can enable you to unmute. So any questions until now? Okay, then if there's no questions, or Soraya, just give me the clear, the green light in order to continue, or I will wait just a minute in case anyone has a question before I continue.
Okay, we have
Bye.
one question
Okay,
by Safa. Oh, but she has left.
okay. You
Okay,
can
so
ask
I
it
guess.
anyway, maybe.
Okay, so she was asking why is she listening to how Path does business, and I think I have a clarification for that if you don't mind,
Okay, yeah,
so that
sure.
everyone knows. I think it's just to show what the members are paying for, so that as members you know what you're paying for in your membership fee. So that's only that.
She meant the video at first, right?
I think so. Or no,
Yeah,
I
this
think
is.
the membership fee.
Oh, okay.
Okay, never mind. but I don't think anyone else has questions. Perfect. All clear so far. We can continue.
Okay, I will continue.
I have a question.
Yeah, Khaled, go for it.
How do we know which path we should choose?
Okay, so first, Khaled is a fellow Mercurian, so he still sadly doesn't have access to his membership on the website. But once you do, you have
I am
access
your
to
member.
the. You can access the assessment, and you can do the assessment. It will give you 3 recommended pathways, but you can also go through every single one of them and check the different projects. If you can see in the panel in handouts, I have put some handouts, 2 of them. One of them is a PDF. You can download it right now if you want, or after the session, I can send it out. Pathways, paths, and core competencies. It describes every single path in details, so you can check it out and take your time with it. And when you get access to your account, you will be able to choose whatever path you think is better for you. And now I will go over a bit the differences between the projects and the levels.
You.
Is it clear? Is it clear for you?
Well, yeah, I think we have to sit down and talk about this even more because
Yeah, of
there
course.
are 11 paths.
Yeah, there are 11 paths, which is not very easy to choose from when comparing with the previous one. It was a very easy decision, either the competent communicator or the competent leader, but you didn't have much flexibility. So now there are 11 different paths, which are a bit similar in some ways, which we will see now, but it gives you a bit of flexibility as well. So also, you can sit with your mentor and ask in case they are familiar with the pathways, and they can guide you through them as well. Any other questions before I continue? I guess I will be continuing. Okay, so in this screen on this slide, you can see 2 examples of 2 pathways. This is the entire path in details for persuasive influence, the path I am currently pursuing right now, and engaging humor. Engaging humor is, by the way, the most recent path created by Toastmasters International last year. So you can see every single path is consists of 5 levels. 5 levels, starting with mastering fundamentals, ending with demonstrating expertise, and a path completion reflecting on your path. So each different level focuses on different things. You start by mastering the fundamentals, and by the way, every single path, all of the 11 paths, have the first 3 projects that are completely the same. So every single one of you would have given an icebreaker, or will be giving it in the near future, I hope. In the very near future, I hope. And then it will be followed up by evaluation and feedback, researching and presenting. And every single path does that. So even if you didn't choose your path right away, and for our fellow Mercurians, you wouldn't be able now to select it, you can already start with your project, with your first 3 projects, and finish the level 1 before selecting your path even. So this is a possibility for our new club. Then after that, you will follow up by learning your style. With level 2, you learn your style, and this is where it starts to differ between every single path. For example, in my path, persuasive influence, I have to understand what is my leadership style, because persuasive influence, if I go back to the previous slide, persuasive influence focuses on strategic leadership and interpersonal communication. So understanding my style would mean understanding my leadership style. Well, if you go to engaging humor, you see that one of the projects is know your sense of humor, because this is what you are focusing on in engaging humor. So that is how you learn your style. Then we have connect with your audience, and introduction to Toastmasters mentoring. This is another project that is shared across all paths in the second level. Every single path, every single person will be doing this project, because Toastmasters holds a lot of importance on mentoring. Every single member, as you know, has a mentor, and by this time, this is the project number 6, he would be getting used to the mentoring experience and would get a chance to speak about it, even in Toastmasters or outside Toastmasters. So this is a project that is shared. Then you have level 3, increasing knowledge. This is where it gets very interesting, because we starting level 3, in level 3, 4, and 5, we have one required project, and as well we have elective projects. So this is an extra level of flexibility if you want. Not only you have 11 paths to choose from, you also have elective projects to choose from. Now, this might be a bit of a nightmare for people that do not like to make a lot of choices, but it gives you a lot of flexibility, because you are able to choose what skills you want to focus on. For example, level 3, my required project was understanding conflict resolution, because I'm working on leadership and on my interpersonal communication skills, while in engaging humor, the required project would be engage your audience with humor, because we are focusing on how to make our audience laugh. But the electives you can see are exactly the same. I can choose any electives I want, and engage someone who is pursuing his path in engaging humor can also choose the same electives as I am. So you can imagine if I am doing my path and I select the same projects as someone who is doing engaging humor, it would be a bit like more than 70% of the path would be the same, because we would be pursuing similar goals, but the main required projects would be different. Something that is interesting as well, I can choose an elective that was required for engaging humor. For example, if you see in level 3 elective projects, the last one is Know Your Sense of Humor, which is a required project in level 2 for engaging humor. So, and you can see in engaging humor as well, there is active listening, which is a required project from my side on the level 2. This is a bit similar to when you're doing, for example, computer science in your university, and you're able to choose a course, elective course from the Department of Electricity, or English department, literature. So this is a bit too much maybe comparing it to university, but after all, it is an educational program, which gives you a lot of choices and flexibility in your skills. And it's the same for level 4. Here you are building your skills. As well, the required project is related to your path, and the elective project is a big project you have to prepare. You can create a podcast, manage an online meeting or webinar, which is the project I am currently at the moment working on, level 4 elective. Or managing a difficult audience, manage projects successfully, and many others. So these electives could be required projects in other paths, but right now we are just comparing these two. But you can, again, you can check the handouts and download the PDF. You will be able to see a view like this one for every single path that exists. And level 5, you finish your path. And all in all, it makes for 14 projects. Every single one is different. Most of them require you to do a speech in front of your audience, maybe even 2 speeches, but some of them make you create a project. For example, some of you are familiar, some of you are Pro Toasters here and attended the Pro Toast Got Talent event. This was a project that Suzanne did as a part of her level 3, I guess, or level 4. It was managed projects successfully. So she was doing innovative planning. It was a required project she had to do as part of her level 4, I think. And it was managed projects successfully. She did a small speech before it, and then a small speech after it. So this is one example because some of you are familiar with it, and soon, hopefully in Mercury, we will be able to do big projects like this as well. So this is a brief overview of a paths. And after each level, you get a certificate. This certificate will be available online. You are able to print it out and put it in some place in your home. And most of the time, the Vice President of Education presents it to you during the meeting because it's very important to show that recognition to the members that finish their levels. And of course, you get an even more important certificate when you finish your entire path, after which you will be able to start a new one if you want. So why would it be important to start a new path? I will tell you in the next slide, but right now I will give you another small break for questions. So any questions, because we've seen a lot of material about projects and levels. Okay, I will
we
give
have a question
1
by
or 2
Yvonne.
minutes. Okay.
We have a question by Yvonne. She says, you must choose only one path. You can't choose two paths
Yes.
at the same time, right?
You can. You would need to pay $20 additional, but I would not recommend it because if you choose another path, like I said, if I go back to the screen before, not this one, the first level is practically the same. It's the exact same level. So if you choose another path, you will be like doing the icebreaker in this path, then doing the icebreaker in the other path, and it would not make any sense to do it this way. But you can complete an entire path, then start one again. And this has been done by Ahmad Badruddin. He's the only one in Lebanon that has started another path until now, I think. I'm not sure about other clubs. But yeah, it wouldn't matter a little bit to start them at the same time. But it would be interesting to start one again. Any other questions? Is that clear?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another question.
Yeah.
Yvonne also asks, how much time would it take to complete the path?
Okay, this completely depends on your dedication. And also on the traffic of your club. So if you're at Mercury, you will be able to take speeches every week and you will be able to complete them fast. If you're at of course, you would need to prepare them well, so it would take time. The icebreaker, for example, when I joined Protos for the first time, it took me around 1 month or a bit more to do my icebreaker to prepare for it. Then each project according to when I was ready to prepare for it. So it depends on your dedication, how much time you want to put between each and every speech. Some of the projects at the end, level 4 and 5, requires you to do several speeches or even take a leadership role. So it will take a lot of time. But on average, I would say a minimum of 1 year to complete an entire path. And if you're following up, and it shouldn't be taking more than 2-3 years according to your dedication. But in Protos, it would be impossible to finish it fast because there are a lot of members and you would not be able to take roles every week. I would recommend you to take speeches in other clubs as well and come to Mercury. Haha. Yeah, any other questions?
Yes, we do have a question from Sarah Hashim. She says,
Yeah.
if we finish one path and then start another one, do we repeat the projects that are common for the two paths, like the icebreaker, for instance?
Yes. Level 1, you repeat it as if you're doing it again. It would be an opportunity to have projects where you can speak about anything you want. For example, now I reached level 4 and my projects are not too flexible in the choice of topic. So I look forward to finishing my path and starting again and doing my icebreaker because I would be able to speak about anything I want. So don't take it as it would be boring, I need to repeat my projects. No, it's an opportunity because the first 3 projects, you have a free topic to choose from, unlike all the other projects. So yes, it would be repeating the projects, but with entirely new ideas, with new skills to show off. So take this as a nice opportunity. Next question, anything? Do we have other questions?
It doesn't seem like it. I don't see any other questions. If there are any other questions, please raise your hands.
I am seeing a
The
question
thing
from my
is,
side from Jawad. Can you choose as much electives as you want, or is it limited to 2, 1? So it depends on the level. Level 3, you have to choose only 2 electives. You choose any of the any 2 of the electives that are here. Level 4, you choose 1, and level 5, you choose 1. It is limited for these. Of course, you can take all of them and give them in the club. It wouldn't matter for your path, and you would be able to practice, but it will not be counted for another level, for example. Anything else? Do I move on? Give me the green light, fellow Mercurians.
I have an intervention. It's not a
Yes,
question,
Khaled.
not a comment. Something useful. It's
I am
something actually
scared.
useful for once.
Okay.
Personally speaking, I underestimated my icebreaker or the fact that you should give a speech. I underestimated the whole idea about creating the content and then delivering it on stage. But so you think that you can finish a whole project in like 3 months tops because you can grind and make it happen. But the thing is, my personal speech, my icebreaker, it took me about 2 weeks and a butcher knife to prepare, 1 week to practice, and 1 week to deliver.
Yeah.
So if anybody has a thought that if anybody underestimates their own speeches, like it's gonna take me less time to be prepared. No, we have 1 year for a reason.
Yeah, the point that
Thank you.
he's trying to make is that don't come into Toastmaster thinking that you're already very good and you're going to do an amazing speech, because it's very different once you come up on stage and once you set your mind to doing it. Unless you have a lot of good experience in speaking, just take your project seriously, especially the icebreaker. It will help you give your first impression to the club. So and don't procrastinate. This is very bad in university as well as in Toastmasters. This is a comment for you, Khaled, and for anyone else that procrastinates, and for me as well. Okay.
MJ, there's just one more question from
Go ahead.
Hannah.
Yes. Yes.
She
Hannah,
asks, when can we have access to pathways and projects?
when we can have access as in Mercurians, once you
Yes,
join the
pretty
club.
much.
Yeah, you have to join the club. If the club isn't chartered yet, like Mercury, we have to reach 20 members. Once we reach 20 members and we can become an official club with Toastmasters International, all of our members will have access to the website and will be able to see their projects. In the meantime, you can if you already joined the club, you can contact your mentor. They can send you all the materials you need to start on your projects. But if you're not a member yet, I really hope you are encouraged now to join. And very soon, hopefully, we will be chartering and everyone will have access to their educational program. Let me know, Hannah, if I was clear or I should clarify something. Awesome. Okay, anything else? I am waiting for your green light, amazing leaders.
If anyone has a question, please raise your hands.
I will be moving on. I will be
Yes,
soon
I
done, and
guess.
everyone will be able to ask anything. Okay, so I was saying last that you will be able to finish your path, then start one again. Well, why is it important to? Why would it be important to start a path again, even though you've just completed all of your projects? First, because repetition makes perfect, but second, you will also have the opportunity to pursue an even higher role, which is title, which is a Distinguished Toastmaster program. So, what is the Distinguished Toastmasters? Maybe some of you have heard of it, you don't know what it is. So, I'm going to tell you very briefly about it because it's a very high role that most of you here are new and will not be reaching very soon. But it's also good to have in your mind what's the highest title or things that you can accomplish as part of Toastmasters International. Because believe me, Toastmasters International is a huge universe on its own, and you can do a lot of things other than just completing projects. So the Distinguished Toastmaster, we have only one Distinguished Toastmaster in Lebanon, which is Nasreen Al-Khatib. It's a program that was existing in the previous program, in the CC and CL, competent communicator and competent leader, and there were some requirements in order to become a DTM, like completing a certain amount of manuals. But then when Pathways came to be, the title, of course, is not gone, but there's a now different set of requirements in order to reach this title. So one of the requirements would be to complete 2 paths, not only one. And there are also a lot of other requirements like completing a DTM project, which is a big project that you would need to follow, serving as a club leader, for example, vice president of membership, a president, secretary, in any of your clubs, if you're a member of more than one, serving as a district officer, and also helping a new club becoming official, club extension and club support, serving as a club sponsor or a club mentor. So this is very briefly how to become a DTM, and it's good to have them in your mind if you're looking to continue further your Toastmaster journey, not only through your projects, but also as a leader in the organization. This is very interesting, and it's a very cool title to hold, DTM Marijo, or DTM Suraya. It's a nice title to have, and it's very important in the Toastmaster world as well as outside it. It would look very good on your CV as well. Okay, so next up, I will guide you through BaseCamp. So what is BaseCamp? BaseCamp is your portal to Pathways. We've been talking now for around almost an hour about pathways and the different paths, but how do we start with your path? How do you access your path? How you can see your interactive projects? This is all done through BaseCamp. So once you log in, if you've seen, I've shown you the page, this one. In the middle, you have access my path through BaseCamp. Once you are signed in and you have chosen a path and everything, you will be able to go to BaseCamp, and you will see this page. This is the home page for BaseCamp, and down there you can see Persuasive Influence. This is my path, and you can open the curriculum. When you open the curriculum, this is the page you see. Of course, if it's the first time you're logging in, you wouldn't see this 56%. You would see projects, and you would be able to press on activate instead of launch. Launch now, it's there because I've already activated my projects, but you would see activate. Then once you activate your project, you will be able to launch them and go into the project view. It will be a pop-up and showing like this. 1 second. You will be able to see the project. Now this is where all the interactiveness comes. Here you can see an interactive presentation of your project. You have an introduction about what is your assignment, a project checklist, interactive video content, interactive quizzes, You can see on the next one, this is a video that Toastmasters International recorded professionally to help you through your project. For example, this is for the icebreaker. But recently, when I was checking my project for this one, the one I am doing actually right now, the online meeting or webinar, there was a video about two people organizing a webinar and answering questions. So it was useful to check how professional Toastmasters around the world do this. So it's very interesting, and every single project you start has this introduction about your project and how it can help you in your daily life, and many descriptions that are very interesting. So it's like a curriculum that you are really following in university or in school. And you can also see this interactive quiz. Now, this is something you might take for granted when you open your project and you might just skip it, but it's actually necessary. Toastmasters makes you fill them in order to close the project. You will not be able to move to another level before you do them. So before you start your project, you have to fill this assess your skills before fill these questions. For example, this one, I am confident and calm when speaking in front of groups. You have to answer if right now, if you're feeling comfortable or not on a scale on 1 to 5, and answer the other questions, which are 6. Then submit button would show up when you're filling all of them. You press submit, then you move on with your other interactive content in the project. Then after you finish presenting, for example, if it's the icebreaker, after you finish presenting it in your club, you come back to BaseCamp, you fill the assess your skills after. So it will ask you the same question. I am confident and calm when speaking in front of the groups. Maybe by now you would be more comfortable speaking in front of groups, and you would put 4 or 5, and you fill the other questions, and it would show you the difference between your questions you have filled before and the questions you have filled after, and you would most of the time see progress. Then you submit it, and only then you will be able to close this project and move to the next project. Of course, you will have access to the other project, but if you finished all your projects and go and say, for example, if you're in Mercury, you go to Diana and say, hey, I finished my projects, can you please close my level 1, she will tell you, sorry, I am not able because you didn't complete your assess before and assess after. And this is the same for any club. For example, in Protost, you would go to Ghadir, tell her, please, I want my certificate for level 1. And she will tell you, please log into the BaseCamp and do that and this. And a lot of members are not familiar with this, and we would explain them all over again. So now you are aware, every time you finish a project, you have to go to assess your skills after completed, and only then you will be able to complete your project, and completing all of the projects, you will be able to move to the next level, validate it with your VPE, Vice President of Education, and get your certificate. So this is applicable for every single path, every single level. And you can see all the resources that are required for your project. Evaluation resource, you can print this project, and you can have a resource that varies between every project. For example, icebreaker speech outline worksheet, but for another project it might be planning your project worksheet or anything. Now, another thing I want to highlight, this would be clear for any pro toasters, but maybe not for Mercurians. When you have a speech, when you have a project and you have to give a speech in front of your audience, you really have to print out your evaluation resource. When you print out your evaluation resource, you give it to the evaluator that will be evaluating your speech during the meeting, in order for him or her to evaluate you and give you constructive feedback. Because as you all know by now, Toastmasters International, Toastmasters members everywhere hold a lot of importance for feedback, because without feedback, there is no improving. All of these things I've been talking about would be just for nothing, because if you don't ask for feedback, you will keep on repeating the same mistakes and keep on doing the same wrong movements or wrong tonality, and you wouldn't know about it. So I really want you to give a lot of importance to evaluation, and don't take it as criticism or anything. It's very important to know how to take constructive feedback and also to learn how to give it. And there are projects in every path to learn how to give constructive feedback. So this is a note I wanted to end on, the importance of evaluation. And now I will open the floor to any question that you have. I encourage you also to open your microphone. So if anyone has a question that he would like to say out loud, our organizers can unmute you and you can ask them. So any questions you would like. Now my presentation is done from my side. It's the questions and answers session now. I give the floor to you, Hassan or Soraya, to unmute our participants if anyone wants.
But you can raise your hands if you want to speak. So please do.
I see that Ivan has a question.
Yes.
I'm gonna open.
I'm gonna
unmute her if yeah.
The floor is yours, Ivan.
Hi. Thank you very much. Hey, MJ, Hanjad. The presentation turned out to be way more useful than I thought it would, by the way.
Yeah, great.
I just wanted to ask, when do you know that you are ready for evaluation? Because, you know, evaluation is about positively criticizing someone else's work. So how do you know? How can you be confident خلاص until you can evaluate someone else?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you a short story about myself. I've been scared of evaluation ever since I joined. Now, it's very normal once you join the club to be not too confident about giving evaluation because after all, you're still new. But once I gave my first evaluation, I noticed that it's not necessarily about your skills or about the level of times you've been on stage. Someone can be able to give great evaluation and be able to see the mistakes someone else does without being very experienced. You are able to see that because you can see them in yourself, you can see them in someone else. That's the important thing, is to be able to see the mistakes, not necessarily to have a lot of experience on stage. Now, I want to go back to the slide where I was showing you the 1 second. There's a project in Pathways Level 2 that is specialized in training you to do evaluation. It's the second one, actually. So even from the second project, Toastmasters encourages you to know how to give evaluation. So it tells you to first give a speech, then give it again, applying the feedback that your evaluator gives you. Then after you do that, after you do these two speeches, you are required to do an evaluation for someone else. Why is it required for you to do two speeches before? Because here you are starting to see what are your mistakes and how you compare how people are doing evaluation, so you would be ready to give an evaluation for someone else. So it's enough to do a few speeches, at least 2 or 3, before you are able to do constructive evaluation. Now, this is also varying between a lot of members. If you're not comfortable, you can wait it out. Honestly, I still wasn't comfortable giving feedback after a year from joining, but I was not right, because I was good doing evaluation, and now I'm realizing it. So don't be afraid to do evaluation if you're still new. Try it out. Of course, you can start by evaluating an icebreaker, not evaluating a level 5 member, but with every time you will be able to improve these skills.
Okay, and just a question: Does Protost or Mercury, do they provide like a checklist for evaluation, on a guide on how to evaluate?
Not the club, Toastmasters itself. This last slide I showed you, you have to print the evaluation material for each project. There's an evaluation resource, and here you can check if this person did the good eye contact, if this person
Okay,
did good,
perfect.
yeah. So
Okay.
there's
Yeah, you can print it and okay.
yeah,
Okay,
and there's a place to put your comments and everything, what the member excelled in, what they can improve, how they can challenge themselves. So the evaluation resource, you can go and check it out. I can send you one if you want also. I forgot to include it in the presentation.
Great. Okay. Okay, thanks. Thank you, MJ.
You're welcome.
MJ, I have one additional comment about what about the question.
Yes. Yeah.
If you don't mind. So
Yes.
you're asking Yvonne, how do you know you're ready for evaluation?
Yeah.
There's one interesting thing you need to know. The father of Toastmasters, the one who started Toastmasters, the entire organization, he was not a very good speaker, but he was a very good evaluator. So he didn't know how to do public speaking. He was learning, and he was experimenting with the help of a group of people. They did it in a small basement, and that's how it all started. So sometimes you don't need that kind of experience to tell if that speech was interesting to you or not. I mean, after all, we are an audience, so we can assess what are the things that we can improve to make the speech more interesting for us. So that's also basically what I wanted to add.
MJ?
Yes.
Yes, there's a request from Sarah to see how to fill the form again, the one about progress after the before and after the project.
Okay. This is the one. Okay, so here this is in your project view. When you are going through your project, you will see the screen, assess your skills before you fill it. You have to press next, not on the arrow that is next to the 5. You press next to see the next question. You fill all 6 of them, then you press submit. There's a button that will show that is submit under the next button. You press submit, then you go over the rest of your project. And when you're done with your project, if it's, for example, giving a speech or giving an online webinar, now after this webinar, I will go to my project and fill the assess your skills after which Ghadir will validate my project and my level 4. So I am completing level 4 with you guys. Yay! If anyone else has any question. Thank you, Yvonne. Just saw it. Anyone else has a question, guys? You can raise your hand or write down a question in the questions or chat. Looks like there's no questions. Right, Hussein?
Yes, I see that there are no questions. If anyone would like to ask any questions, please raise your hands so that we could let you ask.
And of course, if you have any question later on, if something comes to your mind, feel free to reach out to me or to your mentor or to your vice president of education. If you're from Protost, it would be Ghadir. If you're from, I know that there are loudspeakers members as well. I'm sorry for ignoring you guys if I forget. So you would go to your VPE or your mentor, and anyone would be able to help you out. All of us at Toastmasters here are all here to support one another, and anyone would be glad to support you.
MJ, we just have one last question. Yeah, one last question before we close.
Okay.
Do we have materials provided by Toastmasters educational programs to read before preparing our speeches?
Yes, yes. For example, it's Nabil asking this, I see. Nabil, your next project is the icebreaker. So when you go to your project view and you go through your project, there are many materials. Now I have showed you only a few example of the screens that you see in the project view. You have your assignment, but you also have a lot of other screens with the detailed description about your project. So this is all included in your project view when you log into BaseCamp. And of course, you can talk to your mentor or your VPE or even myself. I would be really glad to help you out to guide you through it. And you can also go to Toastmasters International website, not in BaseCamp, but in the resources section. There are so many resources about so many things that you can see there. You can search icebreaker, you can even get this material in French or in Arabic, in Japanese, in Spanish, in whatever language you want. Now, I guess BaseCamp would be in the language of your home club. So all of our clubs here, it would be Arabic for Dod. These screens I have just shown you, I'm not sure if anyone from Dod is there with us. If there's anyone, just text in the chat and we would say hi and stuff. But the members from Dod would have these views in Arabic, while the other clubs would have it in English. And if I hope this would be possible, we open a club in French in the near future, of course, after the Corona crisis. It would be visible in French. So this is just a note to tell you about how much Toastmasters is diversified. So you're welcome.
So we'll have French masters too?
Yes, we do. We have many French Toastmasters club in the world. I know Khaled is now ooh.
I will leave this to comment on the Execom meeting later on.
Yes, please, not here.
Keeping it professional.
Anyone else has any questions? Please feel free, guys. Don't be shy. Open your mics.
We want to hear your voices.
Start
في
to
table
train you on your
topics?
public speaking.
No, we don't have table
No.
topics, but guys, stay tuned for next week. We will have an online meeting and it will include table topics.
Ooh.
But it will not necessarily include webcams, will it?
Yes, table topics. If we include table topics, it would include webcams for sure, yeah. It will be on Zoom, not on this platform. This platform is specifically for the webinar. It would be on Zoom, and we will send you all the link, of course.
Ask about next meeting. If is it a must? Is it compulsory to use the webcam, or is it based on the choice of the member?
Of course, it's not a must unless you want to do a speech or do a table topics. In this case, you would have to open your webcam, yeah, because we need to see you and evaluate your body language and everything. So if you were there in our demo meeting yesterday, it would be similar. And if you were not, we can also guide you through in the beginning of the meeting.
We need to
I see
evaluate
a
your
question.
camera as well.
Yeah. I have a question here from Hannah. Are our projects still considered if we attend online meetings? Yes, of course. As long as the quality of the meeting is good and you are able to give a speech as if you are giving it in front of an audience. Of course, there is a bit of difference between having eye contact and having a real stage, but it can be considered. In fact, we have a lot of Toastmasters clubs that are based online. Even before the Corona crisis, years ago, we've always had the virtual Toastmasters club worldwide, and you can join any of them. You can check them out on the website. I know for a fact that our fellow Toastmaster Sadia Akibbi is a member in one of them, and you can check it through the website and see that there are virtual Toastmasters Club, and it is done worldwide, so it's not something new. You are able to give projects online, and you are encouraged to do so. Of course, unless you prefer to wait until you have a real audience in front of you, but it is an option to be able to give it online.
MJ, we have another question.
Yes.
Sarah says, can you tell us more about your experience with the paths that you worked on in order?
Okay, so just for clarification, until now, I just worked on one path. I wish I had time to work on more than one. I just worked on, one second, I will just move back to the view of, I just worked on persuasive influence for now. I think now if we have members from other clubs, they would say if anyone else worked on more than one, but until now the only Toastmaster I know that worked on more than one more than one path is Ahmad Badruddin, but I'm not sure about other clubs. So you would be able to ask him, for example, if what paths he pursued and what's the difference between them. But you can also see the difference between each and every one of them in the pathways, paths, and core competencies PDF I have included in the handouts. So if any of you did not download it yet, I encourage you to download it and go over them if you didn't choose your path yet. But to tell you briefly about my experience, for now I am enjoying persuasive influence. The projects are interesting, they are flexible. The projects that are special only to my path are understanding conflict resolution, leading in difficult situations, and they were interesting projects to work on. So yeah, it was a good experience, and I'm looking forward to finish it. I hopefully soon and start another one, and hopefully by this time I will be able to tell you about uh, about it. I hope it was clear for you. And Khalid, stop teasing me. It's a private speaking club. This is a webinar, okay? Next week you will be able to give a table topics speech and show off your skills. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, we
Sarah
have a
was asking
question
what
by
Sarah Zaitri was asking which are your most favorite projects, I believe. Which were your favorite projects?
Projects? Who's asking? Sarah?
Sarah Zaitri.
Okay, my favorite projects. I'm not sure. All of them are interesting in their own ways. I love to reach the point where I have to choose an elective and go through them and everything. In level 3, I had some difficulties in choosing. It was interesting going through each one. Maybe one of the most interesting ones is the one I'm doing now, manage online meetings. It's a nice thing to be able to take advantage of the situation to complete projects. I honestly like every project. Like they're all similar. They all require you to go on stage and give a speech. Um, so yeah, I think the next one I will have to do will be one of the most interesting, high performance leadership. If you see the last one in level 5, the first project is high performance leadership. Here I am required to do a speech, then plan a project and choose a team to help me to plan this project. It can be in Toastmasters or outside Toastmasters. And you all, if you all know me well, I will surely do something related to Toastmasters, and then give a speech again. So this will be an interesting project, and I think that it will be the most interesting project I will work on. Sorry if I'm talking a lot. I hope you're benefiting from it.
MJ, we have
We
another
sure are.
question.
Yes.
Yes.
Jawad is asking, what should one do if they realize halfway in one pathway that this is not the right path for them? Would members and staff be able to help?
Okay, so if this happens, you are able, I'm not sure of the number, I can get back to you, but I think after a few weeks, you are able to switch back to another path without having any problem. It's like exchanging a book, for example. You have 30 days and you can go exchange it, or exchanging a DVD or something. It's the same. So you can go and change your path, but after a certain amount of time you would not be able to change it again. You would have to start another path and pay another $20. I wouldn't recommend it, because in truth it's the paths are not very different. So I just recommend you to take your time in choosing your path in the beginning, and just pursue it. And if you find yourself not too satisfied, after all, it will just differ in 3 required projects. So the first 2 levels are very similar in between all the paths. Then level 3, 4, 5, the first project is required, and then you will have the freedom to choose any elective. So it will not differ a lot, not a great deal. So it will not be a very bad thing. So this is my answer. I can check and get back to you later on how much time you have until you are not able to change your path. I hope it was helpful. Anything else, guys? Feel free.
If you have any more questions, please raise your hands or ask them in the chat.
I guess this is it.
I guess this is it.
Okay, so guys, yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed and benefited from this webinar. Again, I want to tell you that if any of you have any question, anything they would like to ask, comment on, please feel free either to me, to any of our leaders in Mercury, any of the leaders in your club or your mentor, or anyone in Toastmasters community. I'm sure that anyone would be glad to help you. And I really hope we will be able to see one another soon. I really hope so. I miss you all a lot. And without further ado, I will hand back the stage, the webinar, to Suraya, our president. Suraya, you can take back the lead.
Hello, everyone. So before we conclude this webinar, I have a few announcements. And for the first announcement, I would like to ask Manal and Khaled to join me to announce it. So Manal, Khaled, the stage is yours. Claps.
I can't see anyone clapping. Okay.
This is for you.
We have a few announcements. Manal.
Can anyone else not hear Manal, or I'm not able to
Yeah,
hear?
that's why I'm
Manal, we
trying
can't hear you.
We're not hearing Banal.
We're still not hearing you, Manal.
Is
At
she
least we can see
muted?
your movements. For any of you that used to attend Mercury, always at the end of the meetings, we used to have these announcements, and Manal would get overexcited.
Exactly.
And I'm sure we all miss that a lot, but it would be better with your voice on. Remove the earphones.
Stuff.
Let us hear you with your laptop's earphones. Yes, yes, that's good.
Okay, so
We can finally hear you.
That's true.
Go on, go on.
Okay.
ما
So
بعرف.
I want everyone to follow us on Instagram, Mercury Toastmasters, and on Facebook, Mercury Toastmasters also, and share our page and be updated with all the meetings and the announcements. Yay! Okay. Hello.
Thank you, Manal. Now give back the stage to Suraya.
So yeah, Thuraya, take the rest of announcements. Yeah.
Ladies, can you hear me? Gentlemen?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
okay.
we-
So guys, before we leave, I just want to remind you. That we also, when you visit our Facebook page or the Instagram page, you can find the landing page to subscribe to our mailing list. So make sure if you're interested in following us and following our news, just go there and register your emails and names. And also wait for us for next Tuesday. We will be resuming with our normal meetings, except we will be using it online. So stay tuned and keep the motivation and excitement going, because we need to adapt. So I hope to see all of you next week, and invite your friends to join us, because we'd love to spread the news about Toastmasters. See you then, and have a good evening. You had something to say, Abdi?
No, just saying online next week. Thank you all, guys.
Yes, meet us online.
Stay safe, everyone.
Try to make the best of your time.
Don't waste too much time playing video games. Okay, do that.
Write your icebreakers. That's a good way to spend your time.
Write your icebreakers. I
No,
totally
no pressure.
No, not at
No
all.
pressure.
Write your icebreakers, all of you.
Hussein especially,
Okay.
Mana too.
Khaled.
Let's just
There are no
Sarah.
especially.
Goodbye, guys.
No pressure, Sarah. Bye.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, let's have an execom meeting.
على فكرة يلا.
كتير بشيل.
We have one on Wednesday, guys. Don't get excited.
Yeah.
ما أعرف تعرف هذا الفون. ما أعرف صار.
Yeah, bye, guys. I will be ending the webinar
Bye-bye.
because before it starts getting
Yes.
weird. Bye.
لا ما كان.